For centuries, game theory has unofficially been around in different forms. Even from the primitive societies, sharing common resources, exchanging gifts, etc., have been under practice, also called the stag hunt. People practicing it didn't even know it yet, but they were all applications of game theory. The actual concept and the term game theory came into light only after 1928 when John von Neumann published a paper on the theory of parlor games. In his paper, von Neumann analyzed two-player zero-sum games. Two-player zero-sum game is basically a game with two players where the victory of one necessarily means the defeat of another. This is known as the beginning of game theory, and von Neumann became popular as the father of game theory. You must remember the prisoner's dilemma from our previous video, the most popular idea in game theory. And do you know that the first mathematical discussion of prisoner's dilemma appeared in 1950? There was an experiment undertaken by notable mathematicians Merrill and Flood and Melvin Drescher as a part of R&D Corporation's investigations into game theory. This dilemma was significant at the time because it closely resembled the Cold War between USSR and the USA, due to which political scientists of the time had to turn to game theory to find a solution for that situation. Around the same time in 1950, John Nash came up with the concept of Nash equilibrium applicable to a wide variety of games. In 1980, there was another significant change in the world of prisoner's dilemma and game theory when a political scientist named Robert Axelrod held a computer tournament and invited leading game theorists from all over the world. In our last video, we discussed the optimal solution for prisoner's dilemma, right? But it was only for when there was a single round of the game. What if the game was played over and over again? Let us quickly recall the rules of prisoner's dilemma. We have two players, A and B, and there is a huge sum of money. If both A and B decide to split the money, they both get the money 50-50. If A splits and B steals, then B gets all the money and A gets nothing. But if both steal, then both A and B receive 25-25 of the money. When the game is limited to one round, the optimal decision is to steal the money. But if it were a multiple round game, what would be the best decision to make on each round? Would it be to just keep stealing here as well? Robert Axelrod wanted to find answers to those questions too. Hence, he held the computer tournament where there were a number of different strategies present. Let's categorize the strategies by calling them nice and selfish. The nice strategies tried to split the money as much as possible, while the selfish ones tried to steal the money as much as possible. I know what you're thinking, that the selfish ones probably ended up getting a lot more money than the nice ones, right? Surprisingly, no. In the long games with hundreds of rounds, the nice ones always won. For example, let's take one nice strategy called tit for tat. This was the strategy that always came on top. According to this strategy, player A would start by choosing split and keep splitting until player B chooses to steal. Then in the next round, it would be to choose steal. Basically, whatever player B did, player A would do that in the next round. This was a profound development in the field of game theory. Despite only being officially termed as game theory after 1928, as mentioned before, game theory related concepts have been around from before as well. For example, a concept known as Pareto optimality is rooted in the work of Vilfredo Pareto, an Italian economist who lived from 1848 to 1923. Pareto optimality discusses a state of allocation of any resources, where it is possible to make one party have a better deal without making the other party get a worse deal. Hence, one can't gain without making the other lose in Pareto optimality. With such various developments made in field of game theory throughout the period of time, it has become what we know today. From the ancient Greeks, as in every other history about human beings, to Pareto, to Newman, and to Axeler, game theory has had the hands of extraordinary individuals into anything it continues to develop.